Hi guys, and welcome to this TechteamGB video. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Steam in-home streaming beta. This is the second video in our sort of, well, I guess it's turning into a Steam in-home streaming beta series. We might do one or two more videos when it's fully out of beta, but a huge update dropped on the March 17th that we really felt we had to show you. So some of the updates is that it's just a lot more efficient now. The unlimited bandwidth is now actually unlimited to whatever your network is, whereas it was capped at 30 or 40 megabits per second, which really didn't help. I've actually noticed in some of our testing that we actually only got up to 200 megabits per second, but that was a lot higher than what used to happen, which was it was capped at about 30 or 40 megabits per second, and yeah, it's really a lot better. Now, in some of the games we're going to be testing, and by the way, the games we're going to be testing is Left 4 Dead 2, Mirror's Edge, Hawken, and maybe a bit of Castle Crashers if I decide to edit that one in later. But for the Mirror's Edge and Left 4 Dead 2 test, you'll be able to see the little graph in a lot more detail of the latency of both the images and the controls. The images will be the top line, the controls will be the bottom line. So yeah, you can check that out. The other camera that I have kind of just packed up and died. So sorry for that, for the Hawken footage and maybe Castle Crashers, I don't know. Anyway, yeah, thanks for watching this far. I'll shut up. Actually, I won't, because I'll be voicing over. But yes, stick around and I'll show you all the games. Alright, so as promised, here's Left 4 Dead 2, and sorry you're going to have to put up with me for another sort of 5 minutes or something, but hey, it's hopefully going to be worth it. Now, if you are running in-home streaming at the moment, if you're in the beta, let us know what you're doing, what setup you have. But right now, my setup is the PC, or the monitor on the left, is connected to the client PC. That's the one that I'm looking at, the one I'm playing on, and that's an AMD A8 3870K with 8 gigs of RAM, 5 gig hard drive, and a Gigabyte motherboard and an NMAX heatsink. So thanks to AMD, Gigabyte, and NMAX for those products. And yes, pretty decent system. It's a fairly budget system actually. I think you can pretty much build this system for around about 300, maybe even £200. If you're sort of looking at the older class of products. If you're looking at something like Trinity or Richmond for your APUs, then it might be a little bit more expensive, looking at kind of the 300 range. But that's really not that much for a PC that you're going to be sort of playing all of your games on. Bear in mind, you do need a decent PC, so the host PC on the right there is an AMD FX 8120 with a AMD, actually XFX AMD 7870. So that's a pretty good card. It's around about 120, 150 pounds. So that's the sort of thing you're gonna need for a fairly decent system that also has 16 gigs of RAM and SSD and 7 million hard drives, because this is my main workstation. What you're seeing here is roughly what I'd use to edit with and do all my work with. So yeah, besides the PC on the left, I normally just have 2 monitors. Anyway, yeah, as you can see, Steam in-home streaming beta has had a huge update. It's really playable now. The frame that is being sent over are 1080p. As you can see, it's running about 40 FPS, so I think it's trying to cap out a little bit just because it wants to provide the best gameplay experience with the best quality. That's part of the settings I've done. You can change it so that it does a little bit lower bitrate, you know, when it compresses the video and sends it, as opposed to where you could do mega quality but lower performance. It's up to you. You can change that in the settings, but I've set unlimited bandwidth, which is very important now, because that means that it gets to use the full gigabit of my connection, which is very useful, except it's only using up to around about 200 megabits per second at the moment. But that's fine because it's doing pretty damn well. There's pretty much no latency that I can feel it, but it's nothing unplayable like it used to be. As you can see, there's about 20 to 30 milliseconds of lag on the inputs, and then there's about 60 milliseconds of lag on the video. Now, as you can see, we're in Mirror's Edge, and if you haven't seen the little graph running by at the bottom there with that second camera, that's basically just to show you the lag in certain situations. Obviously, both of these games that I'm playing right now are both single player, technically, or I was running them in single player, but I must say I'm really not the best at Mirror's Edge, especially with a controller. and a tiny bit of lag, although it's not really to do with the lag, I'm just pretty bad. As you can see, I'm just jumping at the wrong time. Anyway, yeah, really not that good, am I? Anyway, some of the stuff that's really quite nice about the update is that it has update to the fact that it doesn't need a super powerful CPU to decode the frames anymore. It also uses the GPU to encode the frames, and you may be looking forward to, if Valve and Nvidia start working together, you might be able to use the built-in H.264 encoder on Nvidia cards to be able to maybe compress and decompress the frames even more. That may be an option in the future, but obviously I can't specifically tell. So yeah. Some of the other things is that it even works really well on low power systems, which means that the idea that you'll be able to have a really small form factor system next to your TV, and then it just works, streams really well, might be quite interesting. Now I'm going to let you watch my failing at Mirror's Edge for just a little bit longer, and then we'll jump into Hawken. Please bear in mind I'm using a really bad mouse and really bad keyboard that's on my lap for that, so I die quite a lot, and I've kind of had to cut many of my deaths out for that one. Yeah. So as I mentioned, here's Hawken. It's a multiplayer game, very fast paced, and quite hard to play with the input lag that there is, but I'll be honest, I probably could play it quite easily if I was using my proper mouse and keyboard, but you know, them connected to the client PC as opposed to the host PC. But I didn't really feel like doing that much work. Anyway, if you're running in-home streaming beta, let me know what you're using. If you want to run it, what would you plan on using? So would you use something extremely low power like a Raspberry Pi with wireless? Would you use wired, so literally run a wire from your router to your TV? What sort of stream hardware would you recommend as a sort of minimum as well? I would definitely recommend just a full gaming PC that's sort of sitting in the loft with a 4K screen on it. That would definitely work fine, and you'd be able to play 1080p no problem, or 4K in the future if networks get upgraded. Yeah, so anyway, this is just about me finished. I'm going to wrap it up slightly in just a moment, but yeah, thanks. Alright, so I hope you enjoyed that, and I hope I covered it in enough detail. I don't think I'm going to end up including Castle Crashers, so sorry for anyone. But if you'd like to see any games actually streamed, I have tested some non-Steam games like Max Payne 3 that I have off Steam. It works fine now as well, as long as you launch it through Steam, because basically the way it works is it captures the screen and then sends it to the other PC, or encodes it, sends it to the other PC decodes it, displays it, and then captures inputs, sends that to PC, and vice versa. It works very quickly nowadays, especially because that was all of the tests I've done today are at 60 FPS and at 1080p, which is fantastic. The options have changed very slightly, and basically I said prioritize network traffic, just do anything you can to make it perfect. Obviously the better the router you have, the better it will work. If you have a more expensive router like a high-end Asus, or even like low-end enterprise class like Cisco, routers and access points and stuff, especially for wireless use, that would work a lot better. Anyway, that's pretty much it. Hit the like button if you liked it, hit the dislike button if you disliked it. Let us know what you thought of the video. As I said, if you've got any games you'd like us to try, we will make another video for you with just those specific games. Please bear in mind, I have to have the games to be able to play them. So yeah, basically if you can see behind me, that's probably what I've got. I've also got a few games in Origin. I don't have Battlefield 4, I don't have Titanfall, and I don't have Thief. I'm very sorry, I would love to, but I'm poor. So yeah, anyway, yeah, thanks for watching, and we'll see you all next time.